If you're watching this, you're looking for some help to manage your pain. And I might be just the person for you. In fact, I think I am. Because my take on pain might be something that is a little different. My take on pain might be exactly what you need to hear right now to start the process of healing, to complete the process of healing, to get you feeling good, because that's what I'm in the business of. And I'm a big believer that movement can help you manage your pain. And yes, I'm talking movement, physical body movement. And yes, we need to consider what type of movement that is for you, that's relevant to you. But I'm also talking energetic movement. That's why this series is called Still Movement. Because if you are in pain, then you want movement. You want to move from the state in which you're in to a better feeling place. And that takes change. And that takes courage sometimes, especially when you're feeling a little bit up against the wall, especially when you're feeling a little bit impacted, especially when your resources are drained and you're thinking, oh, can I really face change? Yes. Yes, you can, because I'm here to help you to move. So let's talk about pain. And there are different types of pain. We know this. There are some languages in the world that have, I think, 50 words for the word pain. But here in good old English, we have a few. Ache, niggle, sharp pain, stabby pain. All kind of pain is good. What? Yep, that's what I said. All kind of pain is good. Pain is a route of communication for your body. We've all taught it. We've all been taught it at school when, you put your hand on the hot plate on the stove and then you whip your hand away because it's hot, because it hurts. It stops you from creating more damage. If you didn't have the pain, you'd leave your hand on the hot plate and you'd create damage that would require further healing. So pain is there in some respect as a preventative of further damage, right? Brilliant. I can get on board with that. Pain is my friend in that response. We think that maybe the pain is the bad thing, but actually we go, oh God, thank God I felt that, because then I could stop the damage. That's not the kind of pain we're talking about though, is it? Not if you're watching this now. You haven't logged into this now because you've accidentally burnt your hand and you're trying to manage that kind of pain. No, you're logging into this now because you are either in an acute state of pain or a chronic state of pain. An acute state of pain is pain that has arisen in your current experience because you've done something, because there's been a traumatic event. Maybe you've fallen down a mountain and twisted your knee. Maybe you have been getting your Christmas decorations out of the loft and fallen down the loft ladder. Maybe you have got a turkey-related injury. Maybe not yet, but maybe that's on your horizon. I talk about turkey-related injuries a lot in my Pilates classes. It's that time of year. We do crazy things. Turkey-related injuries are higher than you think they are. And I'm not just talking about being crazy with a turkey. I'm talking about, I've got a turkey in a big pan. It's a lot heavier than anything I usually put in the oven, but I'm still going to bend down in the same way and put it in the oven, or stretch up and put it on top of the fridge, trying not to drop it, or at least not let anyone see you drop it. That's an acute pain. And that pain is saying to you, wow, what you just did hurt us. Those cells are saying, we are in a place now where we need you to listen to us and to do what we are telling you to do. Because then we can have the best chance to heal and to heal fast. This pain is still helpful. This pain is still wanted by us. And you might think, easy for you to say, it's not keeping you up in the middle of the night. Hang in there, I'm getting to it. The first thing I need to do with you, though, is lessen the fear response. Pain doesn't always mean more damage is occurring. In these early stages of an acute injury, the pain is your body communicating with you. It's saying, yeah, we did a thing, and the thing wasn't so great, and we'd really like you not to do the thing again. But while we're healing from the thing, we also need you to do other things or not to other things, to put us in the best place from which we can help you to heal. So that pain might bring around tension. It might, think of it like a back brace. It might hold that area steady. And that tension that's coming from the pain, and we all know it, that moment where you go, oh, I just don't really want to move that. It's putting it into a position where it's not going to get hurt. It's not letting you be willy-nilly with it. Just allowing it to settle so that you're in the best place you can be to move forward to a place of change, which is the healing place, right? Your cells are ensuring that any change that comes is only going to be in a positive direction. Now that is good, because the way your cells do that is with pain. Okay, they might make it painful for you to walk. Okay, sit your bottom down. We're going to have some rest. We're going to have some repair. We might need more sleep. We are filling up your wellness tank. The wellness tank is something that I've invented that lives in the middle of you, that basically fuels everything that you do, every aspect of work from every single cell. And that wellness tank needs to make sure that it's full for you to have enough resources to heal, to repair. So if that pain is sitting your bottom down on the sofa and saying, do you know what, you're going to do less in the next few days, again, we go, I'm grateful for that pain. Brilliant. Bring that pain on. It might be a pain, as in it might be annoying. It might be like, oh God, I've got so much to do and now I can't do it. But it is for your greatest good. So in this moment, take a step towards appreciating that pain. Appreciating pain, yeah, just like you appreciate the pain that stopped you burning your hand, appreciate this pain now that's helping to put you in the best position from which you can heal. Easy for you to say, Bryony. You're not the one in the middle of the night that's got a raging toothache. Okay. When pain becomes suffering, we do something about it. Not all pain is suffering. We've just established that. But when your pain steps towards, I can't sleep, I can't rest, therefore I can't repair and heal. My life is becoming darker. There's no joy and love in anything that I do. My vibration is dropping. Therefore, the vibration of every single cell in your body is dropping. That means that they can't heal and repair as you want them to. They can't perform the jobs that you need them to aid the healing and repairing. This is when we need to combat the pain. Okay? When your pain steps towards suffering, and the definition of suffering is I'm stuck in this and I don't know a way out. I can't get out. And this pain might arise at certain times, specifically in the middle of the night. Maybe during the day you can take a different perspective on it. Go, all right, I can rest. All right, I won't move around too much. But in that moment where it's stopping you sleeping, you go, God, yeah, do you know what? I'm not okay with that. It might happen, the pain might change as the injury progresses. It might step more into suffering, for instance, as you go, all right, I'm willing to give it a couple of days of rest, but on the third day, I'm getting a bit knocked off with this now. You can feel that vibration dropping. You can feel the frustration and the anger coming in, and you go, okay, that lower vibration is not going to help me heal. So we need to combat the pain. And how do we do that? You can take pain medication. You know, I'm not in the business of saying no drugs. I am in the business of saying only drugs that help for a short period of time. Remember that if you take pharmaceuticals on, they are synthetic. They're something unnatural that your body has to learn what they are, to use in a certain way, and then to get out exactly what they don't want. So there are jobs that you're asking of your body above and beyond the jobs that they need to do if you weren't putting them in. It's about the balancing act. Taking those pharmaceuticals on, helping enough that it's still better that I have them, even though the job of your liver and your kidneys potentially have to work a bit harder, and your lymphatic system to drain out that which you don't want hanging around. Yeah, you make the call on that. How will you know? You align always with me to what feels good. Does it bring you some soothing and some relief to just go, do you know what, I'm just going to turn that pain down so that I can sleep. I'm just going to turn that pain down because my cousin's coming over with her beautiful baby and I want to enjoy that moment. You're going to get more out of that by taking maybe an ibuprofen than you would do by going, no, I don't take drugs, I'm going to suffer through that pain. But there'll be some of you that go, no, I'm really not comfortable taking pharmaceuticals. I don't want the impact upon my body, and taking the pharmaceuticals for you will lower your vibration and make you feel uneasy, and it's something else for your body to manage. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm saying in this moment, what does it feel like? There are no rules and there are no shoulds. In each moment, you lean towards what feels good. In this moment, does it feel good to take a pill or two? And then keep monitoring it. Don't assume that because it feels good in this moment, it will feel good tomorrow morning and it will feel good in 3 days' time. Bear in mind that the longer you take something like ibuprofen or paracetamol, the greater impact it has upon your cells, because they have to continually keep working to flush out. That's okay. There are many tools that you can help yourself with. You are powerful healers. I have energy practices on here, healing practices that help your lymphatic system to flow. Brilliant. Lean into them. You can always shift the scales so that the positive is higher. Yeah. You can always put more things in that side of the basket so that you can take a pill if you need to. How else can you lessen the movement? Lessen the pain. Well, you've probably guessed it, by movement, by the energetic movement that I bring, supporting your lymphatic system, soothing your nervous system, supporting your circulatory system so it brings the stuff you need for healing, will mean that those cells are in less of a response of, I need to sit you down so that we've got more healing to do, because they're getting what they need to heal. The only thing that you've got to make sure you do in this moment is give yourself an opportunity to eat that which is going to make you heal. Yeah, give yourself the fuel that your cells need, because they're going to be doing extra work in their regeneration, in their repair, in their healing. Other than that, you have no other job. Try to rest. Let's talk about physical movement, because gentle movement in this acute stage of pain can help you. How? It can support the lymphatic system. It can support the circulatory system. You can get more good stuff to the area with gentle movement, and you can draw away that which doesn't need to be there anymore. We'll come on to that in a minute. What else is that movement going to do? It's going to lessen your fear response again. It's going to help your muscular system. Your muscular system is a great communicator. And remember, from the moment that you had your acute injury, the one thing that you can rely and trust upon is that you are experiencing change. Change in this moment. You are healing, you are repairing, you are regenerating. Therefore, the pain that you experienced at the beginning is going to change. Gentle movement gives you a way to monitor that. It makes you go, oh, okay, I couldn't do that movement yesterday, but now that feels a bit easier. You're lessening the fear response because you're going, oh, I feel empowered. I'm not saying take all pain off the table, and I'm not saying go out for a run. I'm saying align to what feels good, but don't be scared to explore that physical movement when in pain can feel good. Okay. The next stage, the next step you want to go towards, and the one that is often missed, is lessening the inflammation. So if you've got an acute response, you're going to experience pain and tension. That's what I call a pain tension cycle. As you experience pain, you get tighter in your muscles. That's the bracing. And because you're tighter, you might experience more pain. So we lessen the fear, the tension that is surplus will reduce, and your pain levels will drop down. Okay, it's the difference between I don't want to move, it's going to really hurt, it's going to really hurt, it's going to really hurt, and then just finding yourself going, oh, okay, I actually can get it into a state where it's comfortable. And if I get a poke of pain, I go, okay, doesn't want to be there, maybe here. It doesn't mean every movement I'm going to do is going to hurt me. But there's also a pain inflammation cycle. Your inflammatory response in your body is so powerful and so needed and so important. But it can get a little bit over exuberant, shall we say. So when you have an acute injury, or even sometimes a chronic injury that flares up in an acute way, and we'll come to that in a minute, you have an inflammatory response. Your body goes, oh, I need to send stuff there. I need to send help. And in the inflammation, it kind of puffs up around the area. It restricts movement. It's kind of, again, trying to put it into a bit of a brace. It's sending things there to help with damage, to eat up cells that might have been damaged that need to be cleared out. It's really powerful and really important. But like I say, it can get a bit over exuberant. And in your body, there are, what do we call it? Kind of a closed environment. So if lots of things are going to an area, it's going to puff up, right? And there's going to get nowhere else for that to go. It can only get so swollen. It can only get so big. And if the inflammatory response is in its extreme, it can create more pain. It can also reduce the ability of things getting to where they need to go and getting out of the area. So managing the inflammatory response, respecting it, loving it, saying, great, you're doing your job. Can we just do it a little bit less? In alignment with what feels good is going to be powerful. Now, how do you manage that inflammatory response? Well, you heard me mention ibuprofen for the pain earlier. The reason I would lean to ibuprofen over paracetamol is because you get the double whammy of it's going to help with the inflammation as well as the pain. Now, I am not in the business of masking pain, not in any way. You don't mask pain so you can get on and get stuff done. Absolutely not. What you're going to do if you do that is to hold yourself in the acute state of the injury for longer. Don't kid yourself that you can take pain meds and then not rest and give yourself a chance to heal and repair. And that if you just keep doing that, you'll get to a point where you won't have to stop what you're doing and suddenly you'll be healed. No, that won't happen. You're just creating a backlog of pain meds that you need to get out of your system, a backlog of damage that you need to repair, and potentially damage that you're then layering on top of the damage because you're not giving it the rest it needs. And what will happen is you will be put down. At some point, those pain meds won't touch the surface. At some point, you will have to rest and sleep and repair. And you know what? It'll be a longer period of time that you're out for. And you will be held in the pain for longer, so you'll be suffering more. So don't do it. However, using pain meds to relieve the suffering in the acute stage in alignment with raising your vibration and what feels good and soothing you, helping you to get out of that adrenal response of fight, flight, or freeze. Freeze is what your cells do in the adrenal response when there's pain around. They go, oh God, there's pain. I don't know what to do. I don't want to do anything wrong, so I'll just stay here. Easing and soothing that adrenal response, potentially sometimes by lessening the pain, potentially sometimes by listening to this with me, potentially sometimes by gentle movement that makes you go, oh, maybe it's not as bad as I thought it was. Potentially by just hearing these words and knowing that pain is okay. Okay? All of that is going to help in that adrenal response. And you can put pain meds into that bracket as well. And lessening the inflammation. But don't ever take pain meds to mask something and hit and hope that, you can just shelve that and carry on. No. It's not how your body works. Okay, so let's talk about monitoring the pain. This is again where movement is really helpful. That pain is going to change. As you heal, as you change, we already talked about it. Oh, I can move a little bit differently today. Oh, that pain isn't so bad. Maybe I can come out of that and move in a different way. This is all evidence for you that you are healing. Okay? And movement helps you to monitor that pain. It's the other reason why masking the pain doesn't help you. Because in the back of your head, you're going, oh God, I'm not in pain, but maybe I would be if I wasn't doped up to my eyeballs. That fear response is still there. Okay, so get used to the idea that you want change. Get used to the idea that when pain is there, you want to turn into it. Not in a suffering way, but in a, what is it that you're telling me? Oh, okay, you want me to do it more like that, and a bit less like that, and a bit more like this. And get used to turning in, not all the time. You don't have to be focused on it because that's going to limit your love of living. But what you want to do is turn in and kind of go, now and again, how are we today? How are we today? Oh, what does this mean today? It's evidence for you that change is coming. And after all, change is what you want if you're in pain. Okay, so let's talk about a chronic pain now. Because for some of you, this will be potentially more familiar. You want to manage pain with movement, whether it be acute or chronic. And it's massively empowering and soothing for you to know that you can. In situations where you are out of your routine, where you're on holiday, where you can't get to the pharmacy or the osteopath or whoever it is that usually helps you, watching this video just gives you a soothing, because it's like, I can do this. I have got the tools I need, and I can, first of all, lessen the fear of any pain that I'm in. That's how empowering this is. So whether it's an acute pain or a chronic pain, you lessen the fear first. If this is a chronic pain, it will be familiar. You'll have a response that's less of a, oh, what have I done? And, oh God, I know what I've done. It's no worse a response of fear. They're just different responses of fear. They're still fear responses. It's still a trauma response. Sometimes with chronic, just because it's familiar doesn't mean it's a better response. It can be worse, because what goes through your mind is a rattling of experiences of every single time that you have felt this way. God, do you remember Christmas 1982 when it was like that? Oh God, do you remember that time where I couldn't move for a week? Everything rolls through your head. That fear response starts to exacerbate. If it's an acute pain, your fear response is, oh, what have I done? This is really unfamiliar. Oh my God, worst case scenario. Yeah. Is it going to get worse from where I am? You don't have that with the chronic, because it's familiar. But what you have is a heap of experiences that you now need in this moment to step away from. Why? Because as much as it's a chronic pain and it's familiar, it is new. I'm going to say that again. It is new. No, Bryony, it's not. It's exactly the same. I've had this before. This is my back. This is my bad shoulder. I know exactly what this is. I know how to manage it. I know how long it will last. And in its worst case scenario, this is what it will be. And I'm crossing my fingers and hoping it's not that. No, it is new. It might be in the same place. It might feel familiar. But you are a different body to the last time you had this. You have healed and repaired from the last time you had this. Well, I can't have totally healed and repaired, otherwise it wouldn't have happened again. I'll say it again. You have healed and repaired. There is no inherent weakness. There is not something that's going to flare up at any moment because you're weak in that area. You have healed and repaired. That is what your body does. It starts healing and it takes it to the end process. Now, sometimes you don't quite finish. You don't quite get to the end of the healing. There are things that come in that stop it. And those things are what we call habitual patterning. Look at it this way. If your back goes in the same place every time you experience a bad back, it's not the same damage. So why is it in the same place? Because you are in habitual patterns that are aligning you, that when damage is coming, it's going to go to that area. Well, you said that there wasn't a weakness. There isn't a weakness, but there's patterning of how you move, how you sit, how you behave, that means that those cells work in a habitual way that is inopportune. It's not for your greatest good. And why do those cells work in that way? I don't know. There's a plethora of reasons. Let's give you one. Maybe there's a low stored vibration. Your cells hold low vibration. They hold high vibration as well. If they hold low vibration, then those cells don't work as they're designed to work. You can fix the area and there be no structural, functional issue, but the low vibration is buzzing around because you haven't totally cleared. You haven't totally completed the healing process. You've got it to a point where it's good enough, and then you carry on. Why? Because maybe you don't know about stored low vibration. Maybe this is the first time you're hearing it. You can even clear stored low vibration out almost completely, but there's a remnant that calls it back, like law of attraction. Like attracts like. More low vibration comes to you, stops those cells working as they're designed to work, leaves them open to not working in the way that is best for you, which leaves them open to damage. I'll give you another example. Why would an area re-damage if it's already healed? Well, let's give you an example of a shoulder. Let's say that you've had a tendinitis or a frozen shoulder, or a tear to your bicep tendon. Yeah, let's go with the tear to the bicep tendon. And it's happened because you're a tennis player and you've used it loads and loads and loads. And there's been an imbalance around that shoulder that has meant that certain muscles work harder than they should do, and that yanks on the bicep tendon. Something's doing a job that it's not designed to do outside of its capacity. And for X many years, it's worked harder and harder and harder, and eventually it kind of gives up the ghost. So you have a operation that goes in and knits that bicep tendon back together, and it's good as new, absolutely good as new, potentially better than it has been for 20 years. And there's no pain, and there's complete function and total movement, and you go, brilliant, you go back to playing tennis. But you don't change the way in which you play tennis. Therefore, after years, guess what happens? It starts to fall into that same patterning again. It knows how it's always worked. So even with its new tendon, it goes in and works again because you have fixed the symptom, but you haven't gone to the underlying reason that the symptom arose in the first place. And the reason I'm harping on with you guys about this is because the first thing I want you to accept is that your chronic pain is a new pain. I don't want you to think of your body as damaged in a certain area. I don't want you to think of any of your cells as broken or rubbish or bad. If you can send love to those cells, they're going to be far more likely to heal and repair and work in a way that they're designed to work. They're not bad. They're not trying to do anything to hurt you. They just sometimes don't know what it is they're supposed to be doing. So the first thing to accept with your chronic pain is that lessening the fear of the pain comes from, okay, I'm not broken. I can manage this. This isn't something ingrained in me. I just have to learn the best way to manage this and to make a change. And Bridie's here to help me to make that move. The second thing I want you to accept is that underlying all chronic pain are habitual patterns of movement, habitual patterns of staying still, habitual patterns of low stored vibration, habitual patterns of living or thinking or behaving. They are underlying every single chronic pain. So it's easy. We use movement to break those patterns. I do it with you every time you come to a class or you come online, you participate in still movement on a recording. I am in the business of breaking habitual patterns. Do you need to know what your patterns are? Absolutely not. Do you want to? Maybe. You can gain understanding if you do. But in this moment, all I'm interested in for you is breaking habitual patterns that no longer serve you. At some point they did. And this is what we're going to step into for the last moments of this Still Movement Live. We're going to step into breaking some habitual patterns with you in the way that I always do with Still Movement. Because I want to reference something. I want you to recognize that in this experience of pain, you are vulnerable to creating more habitual patterns. Think about it. I'm in an acute state of pain or even a chronic state of pain, and I'm going to move differently. Early days, that's okay. You're bracing into that shoulder. You're finding a place where it's most comfortable. From there, there's less pain, there's less tension, there's less information. Repair and healing comes quicker. Brilliant. If that means that you need to lean towards gentle movement, ibuprofen, loving on yourselves, energetic practices, healing practices with me, whatever it is that helps you in those early days, thumbs up. No masking of pain to get on, but limiting suffering so that you can love your life. Brilliant. But I want you to accept that then, as you come out of those early days, and I can't give you a time frame because it will be different for all of you depending upon the injury, depending upon your reaction, your trauma response to that injury. Coming out of those early days where your focus is lessening the pain response, lessening the adrenal response, lessening the fear response, you then keep your eye on this. That after those first few days, it's going to be really easy for you to step into a habitual patterning response. This hurt me. I'm never going to move in that way again. I went skiing and I broke a leg. That's it. I'm never skiing again. That's a broad habitual pattern, but they can be much smaller than that. It can be tiny, microscopic movements that you're bracing against. Maybe you're not allowing that arm bone to rotate and instead you're just coming into the side forward. You're limiting something, a way in which your body is designed to work. And habitual patterns do not serve you. They never serve you. Why? Because they're habitual and because you are an energy of change. Therefore, what happens, and I've said this a million times with you, is you work, exist, move in a certain way. Maybe early days as a response to a pain. Great. In those early days of managing the pain response, the fear response, the adrenal response, you do whatever feels good. After this, you be mindful that any of this might no longer be relevant because you have changed. You have healed. You have moved from here. And the longer you stay doing the same thing while you are moving away, it's like a tethering. I can't then get out the other end. I can't then complete the healing. Why? Because I'm still tethered over here. Healing means a return to full form and function. Return to perfect form and function. Not a return to 80% where the pain's not really there anymore and I can just manage it. Because guess what? In that managing, there forms your habitual pattern where you open yourself up to what? Chronic pain stuff. Chronic injury that rears its head. Why? Because you only got to 80%. You never quite finished. You never quite filled that gap. And you might think, oh, that's all right, I got to 80%. That's okay until your wellness tank is a bit dry, until you're up all night wrapping presents and shopping on Amazon, until you're carrying a million shopping bags, until you've got family over that you're trying to host and cook for and manage arguments, until the kids are off school and they're driving you bananas, until you're managing getting up into the loft and driving a million miles on limited sleep in a bed that's really uncomfortable. 80% is fine unless you want to totally love your life, unless you want to experience and connect from all of you. 80% is fine. But trust me, you will come a cropper at some point, because at some point you will need that gap to be filled. And the best time to learn to fill that gap is now, before that habitual pattern becomes so ingrained that you need extra help to undo it. So some of you will be thinking, oh God, I feel like I might already have some of those habitual patterns. Some of you will be listening to this knowing that you have a bad back or a sore shoulder, and you're thinking, yeah, the reason I term it that is because I'm holding on to a habitual pattern where I haven't totally finished the healing process. Absolutely. So should we do some work right now? Should we do some movement to get you to move from that habitual pattern? Take a moment, close down through your eyes. Feel into your breath. There's an energy coming in. And it's an energy that wants to highlight to you where the most relevant habitual pattern is. Now, it might not be the biggest, but it will be the one that is most relevant for you to change. If you like, it's the one that if you unpick that is going to allow an unpicking of lots of others. It's a snowball effect. It's the starting pistol. It's the house of cards. So allow this energy of spectrum, ancient energy of colour, light and sound, that you can test and taste with me, because you have colour, light and sound within your soul. Spectrum is coming in now to highlight to you the habitual pattern. And you're going to feel it somewhere within your body. That doesn't mean that the habitual pattern is a physical, is a pattern within your physical cells. It could be within your non-physical cells. So in other words, it could be a pattern of thought or behaviour. Or it could be a pattern in your physical cells, a way that you move, a way that you hold yourself. What's being highlighted to you in this moment? What is being spotlighted? and pinpointed. Feel spectrum whirling around it. It's almost cocooning it. I see it like almost like a tornado of cloud. And now it's kind of wrapping it up in a big bow. And that cloud is squeezing in. And it's getting denser. And it's getting denser. And I can see these threads. From whatever it's wrapped around, there are these threads that are reaching out towards other cells within your self, in your body, your mind, or your soul, in your you. And those threads are unhooking. As those threads are lessening, they're slackening. They're not impacting the other cells quite so much. If at all, they're now slackening off and dangling underneath that cloud. And the cloud is still condensing. It's still wrapping tighter and tighter in. Spectrum needs to lessen the impact of that habitual pattern. So the first thing it's doing is stopping the impact upon the surrounding cells. The habitual pattern is still ingrained into some of those cells, but as we condense, as we pull in, it's seeping out of those cells. It's getting smaller in its coverage. It's getting harder. It's becoming like the size of the point of a needle. It's crystallizing like rock. Like sand. It's now a hard grain of sand. And imagine smaller than that. Same idea, but now so tiny. The spectrum cloud is still there, and you might see it as certain colours. You might even see a rainbow starting to appear. And maybe it's a taste of a rainbow. It's not all of the colours, but you might see red or blue or gold and yellow or green arcing through that cloud now. And the energy of spectrum is only ever bringing to you to good. So that's why this rainbow of colour is coming in to unpick that habitual pattern. In what way? It will bring you to experience. It will bring you either to experience in this moment where you go, oh, something feels good. I feel a release, a relief, a lessening of a physical symptom. Or it will bring you to an experience of history past, a remembering, if you like. You'll suddenly be thinking of something and you might think, why has that popped into my head? Spectrum. And in the remembering, it's bringing a energy, a kinetic energy that is changing those cells, that is making them look the other way and let go of the habitual pattern that they no longer need. In the same vein, it could be bringing you to history future, an experience that is yet to happen, something that you're looking forward to, something that you don't even know that you want, but makes you go, oh yeah, that feels good. And it's in that feeling good, it's in that connection to good that spectrum again makes those cells look the other way and go, oh, they drop the habitual pattern because they're like, I don't want to be doing that, I want to be going there. And the cloud is now floating away, and all that's left behind is bright blue sky and the sunshine. The cloud is floating off and releasing. Feel it. Almost like a wind, almost like you've got a cloak tied around your neck and you've just undone it and it's floated away in the breeze. It's away from you now, never to return, because it won't be attracted back, because there's no remnants of something to attract it. Like attracts like. You don't have the mirror image. You don't have the imprint anymore, so you're no longer calling it back. In fact, You're sending it away. You're repelling it in this moment. You might feel that this is random. You might feel to yourself, I have no idea why this is lessening my pain, but it is. Go back to the House of Cards. Go back to the snowball effect. The thing that you've just unhooked and released and untethered yourself from was the bottom of the House of Cards, was the thing that everything else layers upon, was the underlying reason for that habitual pattern to exist in the first place. You want more understanding, reach to it, but you don't need the understanding to gain the change, to move away from the pain. But if you want more understanding, just ask. There are collectives here, ready at your disposal. Grace would be a great collective to lean into if you are trying to lessen physical pain. Grace has incredible abilities, wisdom around physical, around healing, around divine physical. So if you want to know more, just ask the Grace Collective in this moment. But if you don't want to know more, this is your moment to flow away. But flow away with trust, flow away with belief, flow away with divine love for yourselves. You have just done something great for them. Trust now that you will see the benefit of this. And if you need to, keep repeating. Sending you loads of love. I'm here if you need me. Reach out.